All right. I am
I
here
got
with.
my suit blazer and because
Yeah.
well, I
Was that
saw you.
just for this?
Fortunately, I saw you post one of these because like twice in the last year, several people were like, "I want to record a podcast with you," which for me means
Mm.
audio. And so we
Mm.
record the thing with video, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this, and then without any like ex post review, they just like post it online, and I'm like unshaven with bedhead, like just like I mean, like I look like just straight up like a crazy crypto guy, where it's like I just emerged from my computer cave to spout shit at you, and like and they're just like I get tagged on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, that's permanent. All right, like
Yeah, no, I think it's important to give a heads up no matter what. Um, but yeah, that's really funny. I'm sorry you've had that
well,
experience.
no, now I'm ready. You can release this look into the wild. Like I'm ready. Like I.
Amazing. Well, let's kick off with just a quick intro. Who are you and what are you working on?
Awesome. Yeah. So my name's Eric Alston. I am a faculty member at CU Boulder in the finance division. And I teach a variety of courses in, among other things, including blockchain and digital currencies, financial markets and institutions, and sustainable outer space governance. And I publish in a wide range of governance design areas, including constitutional design, economic institutions and commitment mechanisms, but increasingly digital governance in the way new technologies are transforming our human potential for association and collaboration.
Amazing. Yeah, so much exciting and relevant overlap. And you actually came to join us in ZuConnect in Istanbul, which was an earlier event we did. And then we were also excited to host you at Edge City in Denver. And I'm curious if you could just share a little bit about those experiences. I imagine this was kind of your first interaction with these kinds of pop-up city experiments. So I'm curious how that was for you.
It was really positive. I mean, it just sort of the vibrant diversity and engagement that first ZuConnect, but also Edge City Denver managed to attract was, both inspiring as well as directly informative to a number of my research interests.
Hmm. Yeah, can you say more about that? I'm actually curious how these kinds of environments are relevant to the work that you're doing.
I'm frequently frustrated by the extent to which academia rewards a critical perspective,
Hmm.
which, make no mistake, is fundamentally necessary for us to improve. We don't get better without, interrogating ourselves and the weaknesses of our own perspectives. But that being said, it does, I think, disenfranchise the creative vision to a certain extent. And so, being surrounded by so many builders using new technological tools to solve, in some cases, ages old human coordination problems, and in some cases, entirely novel ones created by these same new digital contexts in which we're associating, being surrounded by builders was actually, both inspiring, but a way of getting real time feedback on issues in digital governance that are directly important to me. And so, to give but one example, zero knowledge proofs and technology built on the back of zero knowledge proofs was a major theme at ZuConnect. And that helped me put together kind of an interesting proposal with Sophia Kosar from Blockchain Gov about the extent to which zero knowledge proofs and associated technology are likely to facilitate privacy rights in the digital age while simultaneously giving law enforcement authorities what they, information that they need. So, proving the solvency of an exchange or a clearinghouse without revealing the exact balance sheets or order books of those same organizations is
Hmm.
actually a really important benefit. And so there's a number of existing applications of zero knowledge technology that we think will be really important for facilitating privacy rights while simultaneously satisfying government objectives for enforcement in this brave new digital age we're wading into.
Yeah, totally. Great insight and take on ZK. I feel like there's also a lot of skepticism sometimes in the tech space about academia and about things with kind of a deeper history, but the combination of those seems very important, and it's something that we would love to create more of a space for. I'm curious what your take is on that as an academic that spends a lot of time in these like digital governance spaces.
Yeah, no, and so that dig at my industry of employment, if you will, was not to say I hate it where I am. It was more to say that I think that there is really important synergy between people in industry who are directly building day to day and people who dedicate their lives to the study of a particular topic. Because,
Mm.
boy, once governance became a buzzword in crypto communities, the number of people that I saw posting on crypto Twitter or meeting at events, they're like, did a 2-week retreat and speed ran governance. And I'm like, and you think you understand governance? Simply because I study it day in, day out. And to me, I'm like, I'm very humble about the extent to which I think I know an ex ante solution, especially one that's one size fits all across all places and time. Those don't tend to exist. And so studying lessons from a variety of historical governance contexts is essential, but thinking that you've figured it all out in 2 weeks, and I'm being a bit uncharitable. There are many earnest individuals in digital governance, in cryptocurrency communities that are like, this stuff is hard and it's harder than we realized it was. But to me, it's that synergy between both builders and scholars that is something that I found it rather heartening, the extent to which both ZuConnect and Edge City were able to foment.
Very cool. And so, building on that, looking forward, what excites you most, or is there anything, and if so, what would excite you most about this concept of pop-up cities and these new types of communities, people spending long batches of time living together, incubating ideas about living, etc.?
And so for me, my interest in these pop-up cities goes all the way back to a storied concern about the modern era, put by a scholar named Putnam in a book called Bowling Alone.
Hmm.
And he observed, in the United States in particular, a decline in civic associations, such as bowling leagues, to give but one example of which he was fond, and was saying, this is bad for our social fabric. This is where we actually kind of create the true social fabric, is through these voluntary civil associations in a very de Tocquevillian sense. My response was, I think you're not online enough, because I found that some of my most important friendships in life are people I initially met online. And so the ways in which we associate are no longer so geospatially limited. And I think that's wonderful, because that means people can find others with whom they deeply agree and voluntarily associate with them. But that's not to say geospatial divides no longer matter at all. And so I see these pop-up cities as kind of creating an interesting backbone to the existing associational fabric, that the ability to communicate, correspond, interact online has already facilitated to such a transformative and exciting extent.
So that it's almost like giving an IRL dimension to these new types of kinship bonds and communities that have formed in the cloud, they formed in digital space, and then and creating kind of a real world instantiation of those elements. Yeah, very cool.
Exactly. And to me, there's necessarily a deep complementarity between personal knowledge and productive voluntary association. And so the fact that we sat down together in Istanbul for a memorable conversation one night, to me, leads to a level of connection that otherwise wouldn't be present if we were meeting for the first time on this particular video chat. And so for me, it's necessary to build personal knowledge of people that you do intend to associate in a more than a casual sense. And so for me, I see kind of this notion of pop-up cities, of these kind of startup communities, even if they're ephemeral, is a way of facilitating the deeper human connections that can only come when you've met someone face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually such a good example of how these environments allow for that kind of serendipity, because I remember you posted something very thoughtful in our shared group chat with the whole community. I saw it, I DM'd you straight away, said if you wanted to meet for a coffee or a drink, and then we did that day, and then it's led to this great relationship over time that, yeah, it's quite meaningful. So it's just a good little example of what can happen.
Exactly. No,
Awesome.
it has to be spontaneous. To me, there's
Yeah.
nothing worse than like now is your 15-minute engineered social hour at the work mixer. And it's like it's like, does anyone feel like this is genuine?
Yeah.
So to me it's the spontaneity that being together in a beautiful novel location, thoughtfully chosen, carefully curated in terms of, the events that are taking place, but plenty of time for just, outright the sort of joyful connection that is also an an essential part of the human social experience. To me, I'm thinking just as much of the Edge City closing party as well as the ZuConnect closing party, because I made meaningful connections there as a result of, a 90-minute conversation that I had with somebody I'd never met before.
Oh, beautiful. I think that's a great place to end it. Eric, thank you so much.
Thank you.